What's going on with this guy?
He had an unknown amount of Xanax bars and an unknown amount of alcohol.
All right, let's get him bagged up and prepare to take his airway. All right, pulse ox is looking good. Can you hand me the glide scope and stop bagging? All right, perfect. Tube. Uh-oh. Ion suction. More suction.
He's on 100% oxygen and a PEEP of 15, and I still can't get the pulse ox up.
Now, is there anything we could have done to prevent this aspiration? The reality is, many times in massive trauma, overdose, seizure, big strokes, there's nothing you can do because the aspiration has already occurred before you see the patient. However, for peri-intubation aspiration, sometimes there's some techniques that may be beneficial to your patient. For one, if you can, avoid bagging the patient. If the patient is spontaneously breathing and is oxygenating and is adequately ventilating, then a simple non-rebreather can be used to pre-oxygenate them prior to intubation. This way you can avoid pressurizing the stomach and increasing the chance of regurgitation. Number two, use gravity to your advantage. Many of us were taught to lay the patient completely flat before intubating, and this does make the technique somewhat easier. However, a small elevation of the head of the bed in the paralyzed patient will add to the effect of gravity, keeping the stomach contents in the stomach and out of the airway. If you have it, one option when you're using suction is to use, instead of a traditional Yankauer catheter, use a large bore catheter, such as a Decanto, or even cut the tip off an endotracheal tube and use that as a suction catheter.
Once the tip is cut off, ideally, you will hook the endotracheal tube to a meconium aspirator, allowing you to have fine control of the suction speed. If you do not have one, what you can do is remove the connection of the bag valve mask to the endotracheal tube, reverse the attachment, and then hook it up to suction as shown in this video.
Instead of holding the endotracheal tube in your right hand, hold the suction catheter in your right hand so that when you enter the airway, you're immediately able to suction any stomach contents that may be coming out. If a large volume of stomach contents is coming from the esophagus, you can take the catheter tip itself and lodge it into the esophagus while using your other hand to place the endotracheal tube directly.
The diameter of the holes in your suction tubing can make a tremendous difference, as shown here in our experimental model. In this one, we're using the Yankauer, which could empty the container of spaghetti sauce in 9 minutes and 33 seconds. The Decanto catheter could empty the same container in 3 minutes and 32 seconds. As well as our 8.0 endotracheal tube, which emptied the container in 1 minute and 40 seconds. So in summary, in the spontaneously breathing patient, who is adequately oxygenating and ventilating. See if you can avoid bagging. Elevate the head of the bed. Lead with suction. And, if necessary, intubate the esophagus with a large bore catheter to prevent aspiration.